He's a military witness. He's had a UFO sighting while out at sea on an aircraft carrier, but he's also had an incredible number of other experiences, about 50 or so experiences. The documented case report is absolutely ridiculously extensive, it's ginormous. But this particular experience he had, it involves a UFO and then also missing time. His contact and UFO experiences, they go right back to childhood. But this incident happened in July 1995. Bill is actually a particular fan of a band named Fish, and by that I don't mean Fish, the original singer of Genesis. I mean, Marillion. It's another band called P-H-I-S-H. Not heard of them. Anybody heard of Fish? P-H-I-S-H, you heard of them? Awesome. So he was on his way to Portland to watch a series of gigs that this band were doing kind of over a period of days, and he decided to drive across to see them, so he was heading west. It's about 3 in the morning and he's on Highway 80, that's a photograph there, just representative, kind of flat desert area. He's wide awake. Bill is quite well known for doing like night driving. In speaking with him, he's done lots of night drives over the years. He said there was no kind of lagging or anything going on. The highway hypnosis, I don't believe, is responsible for this experience. So he's going along Highway 80, and what does he see? Well, I think you've heard enough from me. Let's hear from the man himself, shall we?
Hi everyone. I wanted to thank you first for giving me the opportunity to speak. Even though I'm not there in sunny Florida, still get to explain an aspect of my story, and I'm sure Dave is sharing with you. And I also wanted to thank Dave for everything he's done and us actually going through this whole experience of mine throughout my life within months of talking. It's been great. It's really helped me a lot with my own situation, my own feelings, just kind of dealing with it and actually at least accepting it and understanding a little better about what's happened in my life. But I wanted to tell you a story of a long time ago, in the mid-90s, driving by myself on the highway in a car. I was following a band around, one of my favorite bands. They were touring, and I decided to go on the road and go to the West Coast, see some shows. And so I was on Highway 80 in Wyoming, and it's just open highway, desert, nothing around. You'll go 40, 50, sometimes 70 miles between gas stations and exits. You might not see other cars for miles and miles and miles. By myself in a car, I was okay for the most part. I'm just driving overnight. I'm really trying to get to the West Coast as quick as possible. And I noticed at one point this light comes down into my view, down, not around a corner or up over a hill, but down into my view in the rearview mirror, really bright. Kind of sent chills down my spine, because I'm like, I kind of thinking maybe an airplane was flying behind me or something like that, but it just stood there and just was right in my rearview mirror, and kind of just going the same speed as I was, 65, 75 miles an hour, and just kind of followed along as I drove, and started getting a little more paranoid, a little more afraid of what was going on. And just the fear of not knowing what that was I think the biggest part. And the strangest thing is like the next thing I know, I'm sitting in a gas station and don't know really how I got there. I maybe thought I fell asleep or something, but how did I park in a gas station while driving asleep? But I kind of just shook it off. It was just weird. I was like, maybe I zoned out, but no, it was weird. It was like 1 second I'm driving, freaked out. Next thing I know, I'm sitting in a gas station. And so I filled my car up with gas and just kind of hit the road again. And this is like middle of the night. And I'm driving along, really not too soon after that, I started seeing the twilight of morning coming, and I was like, this is not right, because it should have been, 4:30, way before sunrise. But sun was coming up, and so then that started, how long was I sitting at that gas station? I wasn't sleeping. I definitely, I put the seat down if I was actually taking a nap or something like that on the road, but I was just sitting upright in the car, which was really odd. And so it just kind of left me wondering what was going on, and that was pretty much one of the strongest cases of when I was actually literally missing time. But yeah, I just wanted to explain that story, and I really appreciate everyone listening. And yeah, there's been some interesting things happening in my life, but thank you guys.
So there we go, there's Bill.
Wow.
I reached out to him a few weeks ago to get him to do that video, because I thought it'd be interesting to hear from him directly on that. Some really interesting aspects to this case here. And he's had a couple of other experiences as well that have involved missing time. I'm not going to go over all of them. We're just going over this one particularly. This is a sketch he did for me of the object itself. As he said, it's flat desert road, and you can actually trace the route. I actually did that just to confirm there were no hills in there or anything. It goes through areas of kind of mountains and hilly kind of areas, but the route itself, the bit which he where he had this experience on, very, very flat. So I put out the question, that being kind of like Venus or something like that, and him kind of changing the angle and it dropping. It'd have to be going down a hill essentially, because that would have tipped at the car and then it would have come down into view. It wasn't going down a hill. And this thing, whatever it was, it chased him for a period of time. So it come down and then it was behind the car, essentially following on after the car. And of course he's very frightened by it, because you would be, wouldn't you? He's out there by himself, nobody to kind of help him. There's the journey. This is where he come from, across the point A, and that's Rawlins across the point B. This is the location of the gas station where he came around. We think the incident happened around here, so he's kind of driving along around this sort of stretch. But yes, just open desert road, and he's just out there. And he's had this missing time experience. Now, I mentioned earlier in my talk, highway hypnosis. It's on a highway, isn't it? It's on a highway. But the problem is with this, is there's the length of journey time, and the fact that at the end of it, you've got coming into Rawlins, which is a normal town, and then pulling up onto and ending up in the car park. It doesn't seem right. Some of those details, it's very, very unlikely you'd blank out all that. Now, also highway hypnosis happens when you're in a relaxed state. And of course he's not. He's frightened by this object right behind. The exact opposite of the sort of time where you get highway hypnosis. So I believe that can be discounted largely for that reason. Then you've got the actual missing time, the later confirmation of missing time, about 90 minutes to 2 hours missing time. And Bill was quite convinced that he hadn't dropped off to sleep. As he said when he was talking there, he was talking about the fact that when he goes off to sleep, he's lying back in the seat and he just comes round all of a sudden and he's sitting in his car. Now, this happens quite regularly. In actual fact, with the Thetford case, I mentioned exactly the same thing, didn't I? All of a sudden they come round, and this time they're driving down a dirt track. Very similar, a period of missing time, and then you come round and you're kind of elsewhere. And it was only with the sunrise that he realised that this missing time had gone on, and there were up to 2 hours that he couldn't account for. Really, really interesting case. And given the fact that Bill has had other contact experiences, other abduction experiences where he's seen beings, and other cases involving missing time, I absolutely buy that as a legitimate UFO and probable contact experience that have been wiped from his brain at this current point in time. So that's the Wyoming encounter. And with that,